So a few years ago, I preached a sermon, and in the sermon, I said that we are all missionaries. And I actually encouraged people as they drove out of the church to think of themselves as missionaries. And now that I'm as our missions pastor, I have realized I messed up. I messed up majorly because my thinking was wrong. And you know what? There's a lot of churches that as you drive out of their parking lot, they have a sign that you're entering your missions field. You might even have that mindset. And so today, I just want to encourage you to maybe change your mindset like mine was changed a few years ago. And we have every intention to think when we think we're a missionary that we're thinking about sharing the gospel. We want to see that our calling in that. But what it does is it actually diminishes the role of global missions when we all think we're missionaries. I actually am wearing the Urban Impact sweatshirt because for me, when I serve with Urban Impact, I don't consider anymore me going down there and serving me being a missionary. I actually say, you know what, for me, that's my way to bring Jesus to those who are lost. But there's a different way to kind of look at this. And here's how I would encourage you to look at it. One is that we are all called to evangelism. Evangelism is the opportunity for us to share Jesus in the gospel with those who don't know Jesus and to call them to give their life to Jesus. The second is that we're all called to a life of discipleship, and so to help new believers mature in their faith. But the third is this idea of missions and missions work. And missions work is really the idea of us going cross-culturally, us going across language and geographical barriers to do the work of evangelism and discipleship. So when I go and work with Urban Impact, I am living out my evangelism and discipleship hats. But I'm not a missionary. My missionaries are those who are going overseas to bring the gospel cross-culturally, across languages, and across oceans to share Jesus. Do you realize that 80% of those who do not know Jesus right now don't have anyone in their life that knows Jesus? Think about that. 80%. And so we have this huge calling to bring the gospel to this 80%. It's really 2 to 3 billion people who have never heard about Jesus. That's what missionaries do. That's what our global partners do. That's what our global mission program here at Black Rock does. And so when we think of ourselves as missionaries, we're diminishing in some aspects this idea that our global workers and our global missions program has a great work ahead of them. And so for you, consider your role in evangelism, that we are called to reach those in our neighborhood, at our work for Jesus. But that's evangelism. We're also called, when they come to know Christ, to disciple them. But then there's this bigger idea that we are called for missions, global missions, to bring the gospel across oceans, across languages, across cultures, so that those can know Jesus. We all have a part in that. And again, at Black Rock, we can pray, we can give, and we can go. And so what is your part in supporting our missions program and supporting our missionaries as they evangelize and make disciples? I love our missions program and our opportunity to introduce people, the 2 billion people who have never heard about Jesus, to Him, to a saving grace in Him.